Welcome back to Cord Cutting Today, where we break down some of the biggest stories happening in the world of cord cutting, including today, Amazon's Jeff Bezos close to buying CNBC. That's the word on the street. We'll tell you what's happening. Also, Comcast has a new leadership team for MSNBC, CNBC, and others after the split off. We'll tell you what's happening there and when you can expect that to happen. Also, new details on how much the NFL would own of ESPN if the new deal for Disney to get ownership of the NFL network and NFL to get partial ownership of ESPN happens. We'll break this all down and more in a quick second. There's a lot to cover. It was a busy weekend. First, though, you can find a link to every story I'm about to talk about in the show notes and in the first pinned comment. Don't forget, though, we offer a free daily email newsletter where you can get these stories in your email every morning, so you can read them there. Plus stories that don't even make it to the video, because we post a lot over at cordcarsnews.com that never even makes it into our daily videos. Also, if you like what we do, or you can find a link to sign up in the show notes down below. If you like what we do, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that thumbs up. It really does help us because it lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here. All right, let's dive into it. So Comcast, by the end of the year, will be splitting off most of its cable networks with the exception of Bravo. It, of course, will also keep Peacock inside Comcast. But in a wholly owned new company, they will be splitting off MSNBC, CNBC, and others into an independent company. We'll talk more about that in a minute. With this, though, there's been a lot of speculation that some of those cable networks could be put up for sale, or maybe they take external partners, maybe much like how Disney has minority partners in ESPN. Maybe Comcast will do the same here. Now, according to a report from the New York Post, who I know a lot of people don't like, but they have had a recently very good track record on this type of reporting recently. Maybe they're wrong here, but it seems, well, I've heard that this is real. Jeff Bezos has reportedly considered acquiring CNBC or researching a potential deal there. Now, he already owns the Washington Post and now could be buying CNBC, which I would expect to be rebranded in the future. We'll see how that plays out, but would not surprise me if other Comcast-owned cable networks are also sold off either in whole or in part by taking in partners to help cover the cost of them and split the liability of these cable networks. For now, though, it's just a report, speculation. I have heard rumblings that there are potentially other interested buyers, but so far only Jeff Bezos, from the CEO or owner, whatever his president of the board. What's his job title at Amazon now? Leave me a comment. It's not CEO anymore. Leave me a comment. Let me know. Speaking of which, Comcast has unveiled new leadership for this spin-off company. Versant Media, I hope I said that right, will be the new home of MSNBC, USA, CNBC, Sci-Fi, and other Comcast-owned properties with this. And in it, they've announced a bunch of new board hires, including people from both the financial and television world, including the former CEO of Starbucks North America and some investors in different places out there in the United States. It'd be interesting to see how this leadership does. Well, yes, Comcast will retain majority ownership. This new board is now going to drive the leadership here. This includes things like MSNBC's future. They're going to be moving to a new studio. They're going to be reportedly be making some big changes to it. This board is going to be deciding what the future of those networks are. They'll probably also be deciding the future of like CNBC. Will Jeff Bezos be able to control it? What is clear here is when new leadership comes in, they often like to put their stamp on it. Will not surprise me to see some pretty big changes coming to Comcast's cable networks in the near future. All right, let's keep moving along. Last week we talked about Disney in talks, or nearing a deal, I should say. We've known for several months that they're in talks to acquire the NFL Network, NFL Red Zone, NFL Plus streaming, and NFL.com, amongst other NFL properties. And part of this deal was that the NFL would get partial ownership of ESPN. Now we get some new details of that from a report from CNBC. The NFL, if this deal goes through, would reportedly get about 10% of ESPN's ownership. Unknown, Hearst owns about a quarter of, or a third or something like that, of ESPN. I suspect that this will mostly come from Disney's share of ESPN, but that ESPN would get a third owner with it. Now, they would probably be a minority owner, meaning that they wouldn't necessarily get a bunch of stakes or votes in what happens, only 10%. Disney controls the majority of what happens at ESPN. I'm not even really sure if Hearst has much of a voting share in that. We'll keep an eye on it. But for now, ESPN could have a third owner, with it being the NFL. All right, today in TV history, 85 years ago over the weekend, Bugs Bunny made his first appearance in a Looney Tunes short called A Wild Hare. Now, this was the first time it ever aired, July 27th, 1940. And was widely regarded as the official debut of Bugs Bunny, launching a legacy that continues to entertain for generations now. Now, with this, though, you can find some of these on Amazon in Blu-ray and DVD sets, but starting August 1st, Looney Tunes will also be coming to Tubi for free right here on August 1st. Be unsure if it's the entire catalog, a smattering of the catalog. We'll wait and see until August 1st, but it is coming to Tubi on August 1st, 2025. All right, Comcast will remove Cartoon Network from its core TV packages. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but it's coming. Here's what you need to know. Starting in August, you'll need to subscribe to an extra add-on for $9.95 regardless. Now, recently, Comcast moved Cartoon Network from its mid-range packages to its ultimate, most expensive package. And now they're going to be moving it to the more sports and entertainment package. This will get you additional channels with that. Now, Cartoon Network first launched in 1992, targeting youth. So anything from late elementary school through middle school into early high school. Increasingly, though, its viewership has scaled older, and Cartoon Network has increasingly shrunk its broadcast window and been replaced by Adult Swim. Now, Adult Swim will continue to air on these, much like how DirecTV did that for its entertainment genre pack. You only get Adult Swim during the day, it's a blank channel. Now, Cartoon Networks will do the same starting August 12th, 2025. With it, I've seen multiple reports that before they shrunk it during prime time, Cartoon Network's majority of their viewership was 18 and older. Definitely not the demographic they're going for. Part of the reason why I've seen Adult Swim expand, their evening, some of their blocks in the late day afternoon, or maybe I should say, are starting to air repeats of classic 90s and 2000s, partially because they own the rights, partially because it attracts those people who grew up with it. It's channel surfing and says, oh wow, I haven't seen a Dexter's Laboratory since I was a kid. Let me watch this real quick. Kind of get that nostalgia factor on it. We'll keep an eye on it. But Cartoon Network, I suspect, will be a channel that will continue to drop like this. We've heard reports of people who work there that there's been a lot of layoffs, and there's a lot of questions about the future of the network. Remember, next year, Warner Brothers Discovery will also be splitting off its cable networks. And many speculate that Cartoon Network could be on the chopping board, or at least be heavily changed once the split happens, or maybe even not that long. Maybe they'll do it before the split happens. All right, next up, Walmart, which has been in a battle with Amazon to become a major online player, both in streaming, television, and in online sales, is going to start using AI to crack down on shopper experience, or to improve your shopping experience by cracking down on online sellers. Walmart has, over years, tried to pull sellers away from Amazon to sell on Walmart, and now they are cracking down on sellers who are behaving badly on it, both by cracking down on copyrighted items for sale on Walmart and on Walmart sellers who are maybe not up to their standards, including more interviews, I believe is what they described it as, with potential new sellers before you can sell. I used to, in college, sell a lot of video games. I would buy and sell and fix up old video game systems. And back then, I just signed up on Amazon, created an account, submitted the paperwork they needed, and I had an account, was selling on there, and did it for 3 years or so, and did pretty well on it. Also sold on eBay and at local flea markets and the like. Well, now to do that, you have to do a much more vigorous investigation of yourself and get a whole bunch of background into who you are you a legit real person, real company, whatever. Now it seems Walmart's doing the same thing, which is good. Does make it a little bit harder for people out there who want to just quickly sell, but it's probably good for the end user. All right, and Comcast is launching some new cheaper internet packages in our next story, this time for students. If you are a student looking for cheaper internet and you go to your university and you have an apartment off campus, you can get some pretty cheap internet packages, including a 1 gigabyte speed package from Comcast for $50 a month. Clearly, Comcast is targeting a lot of students who have been going to 5G home internet for cheaper internet options. Now with this, they're also offering some additional benefits. For example, they have a $300 down plan for $40 a month. That includes a $100 Amazon gift card and a $100 Uber Eats gift card. The 1 gigabyte plan is $50 a month with a $200 in gift cards and Peacock Premium free. I think it's for a year or 2 years. It's not unlimited, but it's for a set period of time. You do need to be a Comcast service from Comcast in your area. You do need also to have a student ID and all kinds of way to prove that you are actually still a student at a local university. Not a bad deal, but Comcast is getting more aggressive in trying to get customers. They will be reporting their earnings later this week. We'll have full coverage of that when it happens soon. All right, a few other interesting stories I wanted to bring up here. I got a few things I put at the end that just really stood out to me over the last few days I wanted to mention here. Number one, I've talked about this a lot. Increasingly, we're going to see AI replacing a lot of human models and human even hosts. We talked recently about radio stations using AI-generated DJs. That took some time for people to even realize they weren't real people. Well, now Vogue is reportedly using AI-generated models in their August issue, which is really upsetting some people. I'm not surprised by this. With AI increasingly getting better and the cost of models going up, I'm actually surprised that more people aren't doing it. Doesn't mean I like it. Don't get confused here, folks. It just means I'm not surprised they're doing it. It'll be interesting. Will they see a massive backlash? The only way this won't ever expand into something massive is if a lot of people throw backlash on it and crack down on it. Also with this, next up, different rules for human drivers and automated robotaxis. Waymo, which is a self-driving robotaxi on is crisscrossing Atlanta right now. Well, according to a report from WSB TV2 in Atlanta, that basically local prosecutors are not enforcing violations against driverless vehicles, basically saying, who do we ticket? In my mind, you would ticket the company. But according to this report, they're basically saying since there's no actual driver, they can't write a citation under current laws. Sounds like some new laws are going to be needed for all these self-driving vehicles. Now, I'm a big fan of this. I actually think in the long run, we're going to see this become how 90% of vehicles are operated. It could dramatically do two things. A, reduce the cost of insurance by removing accidents. Not that accidents will completely be eliminated, but in theory, if all the cars are self-driving, it could dramatically reduce the human error that leads to most accidents on the market. You could always have mechanical accidents where something failed on the vehicle. Again, human error may not have done proper maintenance on it, but with it could dramatically reduce that. Two, could speed up flow of traffic with it. We'll see. But for now, we're kind of in the way we got to figure this out. It sounds like we're going to need some new laws. How do you ticket a vehicle that goes the wrong way on a one-way, for example, if there's no human actually driving it? And that in Atlanta for now says, well, no one's going to get ticketed. What do you think of that? Leave me a comment. Let me know. And also, Google is intensifying its crackdown on state-linked propaganda YouTube channels. So far this year, they've removed nearly 34,000 YouTube channels in 2025 linked to government-run agencies. Now, Google released this as part of their earnings last week, and in total, 34,000 so far this year, mostly from things like China, Russia, and other organizations or other governments out there that had English language channels, for example, talking down U.S. policies and up international companies. Big issue here. A lot of international pressure on this out there, and let's be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the U.S. is doing it too. And some of it is increasingly starting to use AI to do it. Be interesting to see what we do here. It's going to be a cat and mouse game as Google tries to crack down on these channels. And unfortunately with it though, it means that a lot of companies out there, or a lot of governments, are just going to try to find a different way around it. Well, that's it for today. I hope you have a fantastic day. Don't forget, if you want these stories and more in your email box every morning, Check out our show notes, and actually just in the show notes, I'll put a link to our email newsletter every morning at 7:30. It goes out Eastern. You can also find links to everything we talk about in the show notes and in the first pinned comment. Until next time, take care, be safe. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. It's going to be a beautiful into August. We got all your coverage as we get ready for some pretty big news I expect to happen either this week or next week. We got some new streaming services, ESPN's, the new Fox 1 streaming, all expected before the start of football season. So only a few more weeks left. Wouldn't surprise me if it launches any day now. When it does, we'll have full coverage over at CoreCarsNews.com and right here on our YouTube channel.